President Cyril Ramaphosa has placed judges Tshifhiwa, Maumela and Nomonde Mngqibisa-Thusi on suspension. It follows a recommendation by the Judicial Service Commission due to mounting complaints regarding delays in the delivery of judgments. Judges Matter Head Alison Tilley joins us now for a discussion on this. Alison, thank you for making time for us. So the two judges have been handed these official suspension notices. What's the next process to follow? Do we now wait for the outcome of that inquiry on complaints about them delaying these judgments?
Yes, so the next step will be a judicial conduct tribunal, and then that tribunal will make a decision as to what the sanction would be for these judges.
Mm-hmm. Are the current matters before the two judges going to be affected at all by these suspensions? I mean, Judge Maumela, for instance, is presiding over the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial, which has seen delays after delays.
So theoretically, no. Theoretically, any matters that these judges have which are part heard, so only half of the way through, they will be able to carry on with those and complete them, but they won't get any new matters. So that should give them some time to catch up on judgment writing. I mean, it's obviously a concern that particularly Judge Maumela may be very ill. If he is ill and becomes so ill that he's not able to continue as the judge in the matter, that's when things start to get very complicated.
Mm-hmm. So the issue here is that they delay in delivering judgments, taking between 6 to 26 months to return judgments that should only take about 3 months in accordance with the norms and standards of judicial officers. Have these judges indicated why they have delayed in delivering the judgments? Or can we expect, I suppose, their side of the story to be heard during that inquiry?
Yes, and that's that's the point at which we would know exactly what their position is. But they have both indicated, as I understand it, that they have health issues. They have not been able to attend fully to judgment writing and sitting on matters because they have had health issues. So that's as much as we know.
Mm-hmm. How much pressure are judges under, Alison? Could it be that there's simply a lot of work to do with these judgments and they have a lot of matters on their desks, which then perhaps explains why some judges may have these delays in delivering the judgment? From your experience, having worked in this field, are judges under pressure?
I think judges are under tremendous pressure. We haven't increased the number of judges, but the number of matters that they're dealing with has increased. Their working conditions are very difficult. I know we all struggle with load shedding, but if you're in a court, your court recording machine is not working because of electricity. In summer, the aircon isn't working. It's really these are difficult circumstances for people who then, under a tremendous workload, don't have researchers and don't necessarily have access to the various legal databases that you need. So from what we hear, both the judiciary and magistrates are really finding that they have a lot of backlogs and that they really have a tremendous workload. So judicial wellness is something that we have to start talking about.
Did the Judicial Service Commission give consideration to this?
Well, we have yet to see because the tribunal is the place where they will make that decision. But I would suggest it really has to be a factor you take into account. I think the 3-month deadline for writing judgments is probably in many cases it just can't be done. What we're tending to do is sort of let that go and say, well, it should be 6 months. But then, of course, it depends on how many matters a particular judge has and how many outstanding judgments they have to write, but it's a concern.
Yeah, and I imagine it's not a new matter. Often when even the Office of the Chief Justice gives reports and updates on the state of things in that sector, it's an issue that often comes up. Is the Office of the Chief Justice doing something about it, together with, of course, the Justice Department?
There's an interesting process underway which is being led by the former Deputy Chief Justice, so Justice Moseneke, and that's looking at the rationalization of courts and trying to see if we have the right courts in the right places and the right number of judges. And that seems to me a very useful idea to actually try and assess it. In terms of spending, the DOJ have really kept up with spending on courts more broadly. There's certainly, judges and magistrates have had increases in terms of inflation adjustments to their remuneration, except in the last 2 years. So there's a lot of different moving parts to making sure that the judiciary works well. And I think, I'm certainly looking forward to the recommendations from Justice Moseneke, because I think, he might well take the view that there aren't enough judges.
Mm-hmm. How worried should the two judges that have been served with these suspension letters be about the possibility of an impeachment process following? Because I imagine that's going to be a more serious step to take that may be a consequence of the process that will be unfollowing now through this inquiry.
Look, I mean, for an impeachment to happen, you have to be guilty of gross misconduct. And I don't think this rises to the level of gross misconduct. So it may well be that they simply, have to limit the number of matters they take. It's really, when it would just be pure speculation to say what kind of sanction that they might get. But I certainly don't think it's going to end up in an impeachment process in Parliament. That's for very, very serious misconduct. Certainly, probably not late judgments.
All right, Judges Matter Head, Alison Tilley, thank you for joining us for this conversation.